How you guys doing? Sorry this video is coming a day late. I was just exhausted yesterday from work and didn't really had to just come home and go to sleep. I had to work at 7 o'clock in the morning again, and I'm still exhausted, but this video is pretty important, so it's very important, so I definitely wanted to go ahead and send this out. I received a question the other day on Facebook about from somebody asking me how did I know that this was the life that I realized, or how did I know that this is the person that I am, and how did I discover this? And it definitely wasn't something that happened overnight by any means. For people who have known me since I was little, I have been considered a tomboy. All my life, I preferred to play sports. I preferred to dress, what is considered masculine, like, hated dresses. I hated wearing anything that was girly or anything like that. And I lived in a little cul-de-sac in Country Walk, for anybody who knows that, in Miami. And I was in Girl Scouts, and I had most of the girls who lived in my Girl Scout troop were also people who lived in my cul-de-sac, and we were just a very tight-knit group of friends. And to me, like, whenever we would play house or we would play like school or anything like that, I was always the person who played as the little boy or the son or the brother or something like that. Like, I never wanted to play as the girl or as the mom or as anything like that. And but I really didn't think anything of it. When I was sorry, getting text messages. And yes, that is the Law and Order theme. Everybody when I was younger, they would say, "Oh, it's just a phase. Like, you're gonna grow out of it. You're, when you get older, you're gonna start wanting to dress more like a girl," and all of these things. And I just like brushed it off. I didn't think anything of it. I just was like, whatever. I just enjoyed how I dressed, and I didn't have a problem with it. And I never really had a problem with it until I hit middle school, and I started to go through puberty, and I started to develop breasts, and I got my period for the first time, and there was a huge shift between just being somebody who didn't like to dress like a girl to starting to be uncomfortable with the physical characteristics of my body, and to begin to be uncomfortable with who I am. And I didn't really understand why this was. I couldn't really get I didn't know anything about being transgender. I do remember when I was little hearing somebody say the word sex change, and hearing somebody say that you could become a boy or a boy could become a girl, and I totally was like mind blown. And I remember that word sitting with me like in the back of my head for all my life, but I never really like thought that that was a possibility in my life. And then so like I was saying, in middle school, I just was very uncomfortable with myself, and I began to grow this like kind of hatred towards myself, and definitely a depression, and just kind of like this downward spiral. When I went into high school, I met a friend of mine, and I came out to her as bisexual, and it was like this weight was lifted off my chest, because I could at least admit the fact that I was attracted to women. As a child, I remember so many times, like, I would see a girl pass by me, and I would totally just like catch myself looking, and one of my parents, or usually my dad, he would be like, "Hey, what are you looking at?" And my response was always, "Oh, I thought I knew her. I thought I knew her. Like, oh, I thought I recognized her." That was always what I said to cover the fact that I totally thought that girl was beautiful. So being able to at least admit the fact that I found women attractive was the first step, and it totally took like a huge weight off my chest. And I was fine with that. I really felt like that was who I was, and it totally opened up a door for me to be able to express myself a little bit more. I continued with that, I guess you want to say label or title or whatever term you would like to use, for about a year. And then in my sophomore year, I always had a friend who he would joke around and he would say, "Oh, you're not bisexual, like you're a lesbian. Just admit it, you're a lesbian, you're a lesbian." And I would always contradict him. I said, "No, I like guys as well. I like guys as well," which is really weird for me to say now because it's totally not even remotely true. But I always, I was like, no, I do. I like guys as well. And then, one day he was just like, "Can you just admit it already that you're a lesbian?" And I didn't contradict him. And it was the first time that I didn't contradict him, and he picked up on it immediately. He's like, "You didn't argue with me." And I was just like, all right, we're just going to go with that. And that was like the first step of me admitting that there was no chance that I would ever be with a guy. And that pressure of that expectation of trying to appeal to what people were wanting, especially in my family. They were every parent wants to, every father wants to walk their daughter down the aisle, and every mom wants to go with their daughter and pick out their wedding dress and do all these things. And there's these expectations and these hopes and these dreams that automatically come when you have a child, especially when you have a daughter. So to be able to admit that that totally took that pressure that I had felt for myself of having to meet that expectation, totally being able to be like, that's not happening. I'm sorry to tell you, but I'm not sorry to tell you because it's who I am, but it's just is what it is. And being able to come out like that, it totally took it took that load off again. And it made me feel once again like, all right, I'm back to, feeling comfortable again, and this is who I am. And, I continued with this label and this identification, I guess you want to say, or however, whatever, for about another year. And then my junior year, in my high school, they have a club that's called the Gay Straight Alliance, and me and two friends were in the Gay Straight Alliance, and there was a field trip to a place called the Yes Institute, which for anybody who lives in Miami and would like a wonderful, wonderful outlet for different, they have a whole bunch of courses and different stuff like that, and I will make a video one day about them because that's definitely a huge chunk of my life that totally would not be the way that it is today if it was not for them. So thank you for you guys who are watching. I went to the Yes Institute on this field trip, and it was a mini communication course and stuff, and there was a guy there who, me and my friend, we were sitting there, we just kept looking at him, and there was something that we could just feel from him that was intriguing, and that was just drawing us into this curiosity. But as I was sitting there listening to him, he didn't say anything about himself. He didn't, he was just giving this course on communication, and there was something about him that just resonated with me. I could just feel this connection. And so the whole time I was just afterwards, I really want to go talk to him. I don't know why. I don't know what I want to say, but I know that I want to go talk to him. And so after the course, I went and I spoke with him a little bit, and we stepped outside, and, I talked with him a little bit, and I kind of explained, that I just don't feel right in this body. I feel myself wanting to be a boy and to not be a girl. I don't really know how to explain it, but there was just something in me just knew that this is just not, it's just not right. And so he asked me, if there was a name that you would choose that you would want your name to be, what would it be? And I said, Brandon. And so he said, okay. And, we continued to talk a little bit more, and then it was time for us to leave and go on the bus. And as I was walking away, he said, hey, Barbara, which for any of you who don't know, that is my legal name. That was my birth name. So yeah, he called me by my birth name, and I just turned and I was kind of like, yeah, what's up? And he was just like, oh, never mind, whatever. And then I walked away again, and he said, hey, Brandon. And that pretty much is what happened. It just, everything. It was just perfection. That was it. It just like clicked, and it was just a complete and total certainty that this is it. And so, you know, I spoke to the friend who I went to this field trip with, and I told her, and I was like, you know, I kind of want people to know, but I don't really want to have to go and tell everybody individually and have this like awkward, how do you bring that up to like a whole bunch of people in your high school class, and what if they don't understand and all of this. So, you know, I told her, and she was really cool about it, and she said, all right, well, we'll like slowly spread it out. And then for about a week, you know, I was fine with just a few people knowing, and then it was like, it's like an itch, and you feel that itch, and it's like you want to scratch it. You want to scratch it, and the more that you're told that you can't, the more that itch just spreads, and it just becomes even more intense. And it's, you know, it's like once you scratch a little bit, when you realize that relief, you got to do the rest of it. And so I had already just like cracked the surface, you know, and I just wanted it to completely shatter. I wanted it to be all gone. So I told 2 people who I knew would not keep their mouth shut whatsoever, and they went off, and it trickled through the whole school, and I was immensely lucky to be in the school that I was in. I had by far the best graduating class of anybody, and I don't care for all of you people who are still in Sunset, who graduated in Sunset other than a class other than 09. I don't care, I'm sorry. Class of 09 was the best class ever. Excuse me, sliding. I never could imagine that I would receive the support that I did. And it was awesome. And so, you know, I went to another course at Yes, and I got more information, and then there was, at that course that I had went to, it was the first time that I ever stood up in front of a group of people and introduced myself as Brandon. And I did, and I just started crying. Like, I just broke down. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. It was like 17 years of my life that had built up of this confusion and uncertainty and just resentment towards myself. It was just like, and, you know, there was a lady, Kim Pearson, who was sitting next to me, and she put her hand on my lap, and it was just like, she has a son who's transgender, and it was just, I could feel the love from somebody, and to know that, in my head I had always thought that the only thing that was a transgender person or transsexual was like Jerry Springer. Is it a man or a girl? And to me it was like, my life will be a laughing stock, and that is it. And to feel somebody put their hand on my knee, and just to feel love, and not to feel any humiliation, any embarrassment, but to feel the complete and total comfortability and acceptance. And it was just like, it skyrocketed from there. Just from there I knew that there was no way I would ever be able to turn back. And I just started pursuing, you know, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with surgery and what I wanted to do with hormones. And it took me a couple years before I could get my hormones. And once I got out of high school, it took me about like a little over a year or so, and then I started taking my hormones, and it was just like, I just knew that this is me. Like, there was no doubt. I know that the reason I got this question is because of people who are feeling uncertainty with themselves, and I really hope that this can help you in finding out who you are. And definitely, if you would like to talk more to me, I definitely would love to be able to branch out and help you out as much as possible. So I really hope that this could answer any questions or fill any holes and gaps and crevices and stuff like that. So take care, love yourself, and for all of the people who I've said before, and it's my new mantra, and I'm definitely going to get it tattooed on me, have faith, and have a great week. See you guys. Bye.